Hello and welcome back to Blighty Day Fiance Sister Blights, the only Sister Wives recap podcast hosted by a married,
Correct.
monogamous,
Oh, yes.
transatlantic
Indeed.
couple
Yeah.
based in London.
Right.
If you fulfill any of those criteria, get your own show. You can't be on ours.
Yeah, we ain't sharing. We're not into that kind of thing.
No, we are not.
No. Not even in Vegas.
No. If you're just joining us or, you weren't listening and you had to rewind because you got stuck into something else. My name is Michelle.
Oh, and I'm Robin. That's Robin. If you spell your name with a Y, your name is Robin.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Now, normally the format of the show is that I pick 3 different themes from each episode and we sort of expound upon that theme within the world of the show. As any of you who are watching the show will have noticed, the themes are getting a bit repetitive. We're looking at grief. We're looking at narcissism. We're looking at family. We're looking at betrayal. Like very Shakespearean, very evocative and interesting themes, but we can't say the same thing over and over each week. So instead, we are switching to talking about different quotes instead.
They're all from Cody, right?
Quite a few of them are from Cody.
I'm not Cody's biggest fan. Oh, don't pull over, as our friends at another podcast say. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Cody, but boy, oh boy, that man is a quote machine. I mean, the title of this episode alone, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's interesting. There are so many things, and having watched the episode twice now, basically, there are so many things I still don't understand. So,
like, what animal did Rabine swallow that was making that noise? Because, like, I've only heard that noise, like, come out of a chipmunk and the girl in the ring.
what happened? What did you do to the chipmunk to make it sound like that?
No one cries like that guy.
Oh, I'm aware.
Oh, boy.
She is a very disturbingly childlike woman.
Yeah. She is, actually, isn't she?
Yeah, and granted, this is only my second year of watching the show, and it's your first, and maybe I missed something. I'm a little concerned that maybe her parenting isn't quite up to snuff.
Maybe her kids are. I don't know. Like, I don't like to come for kids, right? It's not good. But Rabine's kids feature in this episode, right? And I didn't have a fucking clue what they were talking about at all. Couldn't follow it. Watched it back. Didn't make any sense. Really odd. Really weird.
Yeah, Ariella.
Like, even Alfie never makes that little sense.
No. But Ariella is clearly very primed for the camera. You know, like she really thinks that mommy school, or whatever it was, she really felt that was a serve.
Yeah, that's like a quality catchphrase. Oh, catchphrase humor. How we miss thee.
I know you don't mean that, because there is a whole slew of sitcoms that I refuse to watch because I can't cope with things like that.
Yeah, saying the same thing over and over again in a loud voice is very funny. It's very funny to say the same thing twice.
Yeah. Try going to a bar in Shepherd's Bush in the mid 2000s and you know exactly what and who I'm talking about. And if you do too, then your family, pull up a chair.
Try growing up in this country when Blackadder was on TV. Ugh, every morning at school, the unfunny kids would be going, doing the lines from the show the night before. And I'm like, yes, we all watched it. Just saying it again doesn't make you funny.
I think that speaks to the kind of school you attended, Robin. I think you told people a lot. But yeah, Ariella's trying to do this show but don't tell, where she explains that I think she was trying to comfort a classmate or something, but that classmate clearly didn't want her around or was trying to run away from her.
Yeah, runs in the family.
Yeah. None of these people seem capable of reading each other's emotional cues, which you'd think they would have gotten good at.
Did she tell the classmate that she was perfectly happy in Vegas, or what's her problem now?
You loved kindergarten. What's wrong with first grade?
Oh, just a little case of history repeating.
Oh, my word.
Oh, boy. All right, catchphrases. No, not catchphrases, quotes.
Quotes,
Let
yeah.
the quoting begin. First, have we got any of that lovely, fun, wonderful housekeeping stuff that people tend to do at the start of podcasts?
Yeah. If you like what you hear today and you want to hear it without ads and you want to hear a little more than what you're getting, like
we
we're
haven't put
doing
ads on yet. But we're
okay. Okay, so no one's hearing ads yet.
We're gonna gird you. If you want to come back to this and listen to it in a while and you still don't want there to be ads, that's the winner.
Go to patreon.com/blightyday. Sometimes people have trouble finding it, but we're working on that. You will find it eventually. If you cannot, come to the Facebook group. Let us know. We'll send you a link.
Or click the link in the show notes for the podcast you are listening to right now.
That's right. This week we are doing the single life for our Date Blade episode.
Yep.
So if you come in at the $5 swamp wine tier, then you get an extra helping of ours each week. And the people have spoken. We are recapping the single life for our extra swamp wine tier episode, Date Blade episode. If you pay $10 or more, you get Royal Tea, which is my little pet project where I talk about the sex lives and scandals of the royal family. Right now, I'm covering Wallace Simpson and the Duke of Windsor, who was once King Edward VIII.
And also David.
Yes.
Just because.
Yes, just because. He's got lots of names. It's a fascinating story.
Like Usman. He was kind of the Usman of his time, right? I don't want that as a first wife. I want that as a first wife.
I don't think it would have even been in play. I think the whole being the head of the Church of England kind of throws all of that.
He should have given the Archbishop of Canterbury a cow. Would have solved all the problems.
It's interesting that, isn't it?
Yep.
Because I think, I guess, do we call him King Charles yet?
Oh, yeah.
Is he he's the king.
Yeah, he's not coronated. He's sort of crowned, but he's not fully crowned.
No, but they do some thing
just
with
an inch.
They do some banner ribbon tartan thing though, don't they? And they're like, he's the king now. Don't be mad.
Well, of course, the moment a reigning monarch dies, the successor is immediately the monarch. It's the smallest unit of time in the known universe.
Oh yeah, Elliot, who co-hosts Royal Tea with me, was telling me that somebody was it was like a judge or something was being sworn in Canada, and halfway through they had to change queen to king.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently it's that immediate.
Wow.
Yes, but interesting times. If you're watching The Crown on Netflix, which you should, look, is it the best season ever? No, it isn't.
Nope.
Was the last one? Yes, it was.
Season 2, but yeah.
Okay.
Maybe 3. What's the one with the Wales episode?
The last one, surely. Season 4.
No, I think it was when Charles was younger. I think it might be season 3.
It's a good show, you
Oh,
guys.
it's an incredible show, and I'm not really into all this stuff, but man, it's good. Anyway, we're going to be bringing that to all y'all. The only reason we haven't is because we keep going, let's watch another one.
Well,
before
it's that, and there's other stuff going on, which is why episode deliveries are a little off. But if you're in the Patreon, you know all about it. And I just want to say also before we begin that I want to let Stephanie P know that we are thinking of you. We're sending all our love and best wishes to Stephanie P. We care about you a lot.
We do. Lovely bunch of people in the bays. If you're not a member, come along. Blighty Day Bays on Facebook. Right, that's plenty, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's so much. People have honestly, they've taken the bins out in that amount of time. They've got themselves yet another drink because the months are getting colder.
You know what I have to say about that? To quote
Oh, hang on.
To quote Cody Brown,
Cheers.
Soaking it. Soaking it.
I just swallowed on mic. I've also got an ice cube in my mouth. But I will soldier on manfully. Right, quotes. Give me a quote. Come on.
Okay. The big family is great, but when you feel like you're a minimal person in Cody's big picture and you really don't matter in the big picture, it changes the perspective on everything.
That's Christine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the important thing there is the really don't matter. And that's interesting, isn't it? It's not like recently. Has Christine felt that she just didn't matter for a long time? What was she, like childcare?
You know,
He married her for her position, didn't he? To like marry into a sort of powerful family. Was that it?
I believe that was a factor. But I think the main factor was that Mary and Janelle were constantly at each other's throats.
Right, okay.
And he needed someone to either referee that or be kind of a calm and grounding force. It's interesting that he didn't even acknowledge in the entire course of this conversation that she raised 13 of his 18 children.
It was pretty incredible. You just took and gave nothing.
Yeah. And he said the kids was the easy part.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
The hard part is, selling guns at weapon shows and growing your hair out.
The hard part is fucking 4 different women.
I mean,
but he's not even doing that.
No, he might be fucking one woman.
No, but here's what I think is emerging from that maybe we haven't talked about.
Good.
Which is that when couples have children, and as far as I know, this happens across the board, it's not just a hetero thing. You might become different people to each other, right?
Yeah.
And not naming any names, but I'm aware that when certain people have become parents, they might have iced out their spouse or sort of taken on an attitude of like, well, I don't have to work on the marriage anymore because the only important relationship is between me and my children.
Not familiar.
Yeah, didn't think so. So I think part of this quote is speaking to that, that she is just seen as, not to use a base term, but that her role is minimized so much that she's basically seen as like a scullery maid.
I was going to say exactly that phrase.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm at a loss for this. The anger and despair and disappointment that she's going is so bewildering, given that the people that are the most upset are the people that can't stand her fucking guts anyway. And I don't get it. But what it is, well, there's two things. It's an opportunity for Cody to express this innate anger that's in him, right?
Yeah.
That has to come out somehow. He even says at some point, I'm angry because I'm supposed to be angry. That may be one of your quotes coming up. But it's just, that's what people do, right? And it's like, you just want to kick off. And I know that feeling.
I don't
I know the feeling of walking down the street and hoping that someone attacks you so you can attack them back, that just spoiling for a fight thing. But then, like with the women who are really unhappy about it, I think it's because it throws so many questions on their relationship. But no one's actually upset about Christine going.
I think Janelle's.
No, Janelle accepted. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's rumors.
There are rumors.
Do we talk about rumors?
I'm not really up on stuff like that. People have dropped some excellent knowledge on me of late. The most, so yes, it does appear that
Skim forward a minute if you don't like this kind of thing.
yeah. Okay. So it does appear that Gwen Brown has been spilling the tea. I don't know if she's got a Patreon or it's like a private TikTok or Instagram or something like that. I'm led to believe that it's behind a paywall. And
Is Gwen the one I really like?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she may have let it slip that Janelle has left Cody, but I am not buying it because that's one of those things where I don't want to get my hopes up too high.
Look, this House of Cards is in free fall now. It just is, right? Once Mary sees what Cody said about her, right? Which is, what did he say exactly? Which is like, there's no hope. She's an idiot if she thinks there's ever any hope. It was along those lines, right? He's
said it many times in many different ways. What I want to go back to very quickly, and this isn't a spoiler because this is an item from the past that's been drawn to my attention. Now, y'all, Rabine went to a portrait artist with a photo of her ex-husband, whose name I understand to be David, and her 3 older children, not the ones that she had with Cody. So I guess, what's his name? Brayson, Dayton, something like that. One of those like white people boys' names.
If you have a child called Brayson Dayton, that's a beautiful name.
Yeah. My grandparents were my grandmother was from Dayton. Anyway, her 3 older children. And the other photo was of Christine and Cody and their family. And she commissioned this portrait artist to replace her ex-husband's head with Cody's head. And
the only reason I'm not bursting into laughter is because I've already seen this. And when I did, my jaw hit the ground. It's the most egregious thing. And it's not just, can you replace my ex-husband's head with my current husband's head, which is weird and Wurzel Gummidgee. Only the Brits will get that. It's the fact that the source photo is from one of the other wives with Cody. I mean, it's just...
Yes, and that wife happens to be Christine.
Such a fuck you. I mean, honestly, the chutzpah of it, she went up in my estimation for it. It's so bold. It's also crazed.
Yes, it did. It did remind me of that. I believe it was the Diwali episode of The Office when Michael Scott was dating Carol and she had an ex-husband and 3 kids, and Michael like photoshopped his head onto her ex-husband's body.
Yes.
That's that's the energy. That's what Rob Hine
But
is
that was a
bringing to that portrait
sitcom.
artist. It's-
Maybe she saw it and was like, that's a really good idea.
I think she would probably find the humor of that show far too racy and far too adult,
I mean,
and maybe a tad too liberal.
yeah, even Carol, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think she'd have a hard time with that. Um, moving on
Yeah, give me
to
another one.
another member of the family.
Another quote,
Another quote again.
because these t-shirts aren't going to make themselves.
That's right. Mary, you've got a look on your face like you know the whole world, but you're not going to say something.
Yeah, that was awesome, wasn't it? That goading. Mary was poker facing it. Like,
Well, until he spoke to her and legit, the way that her face lit up, she went complete. I mean, her complexion is slightly on the pinkish side anyway. And I say this as a lady with rosacea myself, so I know what I'm talking about.
I think she's rusting.
She,
I think that's what it is. She's quite a metallic woman.
she lost it. She was Twitter pated.
Well, the Cody looked her way.
Yes, and said something to her. Like it reminded, oh God, it was so cringe. It reminded me of being in high school and like a boy I had a crush on would ask me a question. I would just be like, I would be like Tania on the single. What?
Ugh.
Yeah, she was feeling it. I don't think she even heard what he said. I think she like slipped into that.
That wasn't the vibe that I got. The vibe I got was, I have a lot to say, but I'm saving it for the Andrew Morton's been on the phone and we're doing the book.
Really? You don't think
Yeah.
she was hearing in the back of her head, I believe in miracles?
Oh, God.
I think she just didn't hear what he was. I think she heard him say Mary. She turned towards him and she was just
Wow.
rapt.
I thought after last week, Mary had other intentions. Other Tania-like
Mary
intentions.
had Tania-like intentions.
Her face was red as blood or rust.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the level of enthusiasm that she was showing for Jen. I mean, she really came alive certainly more so than she did any of the previous season.
I want to see that clip of her with Jen every week from now on. It takes 10 years off her. Funny how being happy can make you look better.
She also does that, and I really wish women with blue eyes in particular would stop doing this. Now look, if you want to do a smoke, I used to be a makeup artist, okay? So I know what I'm talking about. If you want to do a smoky eye, you do want to blend a little bit of shadow on your lower lash line, depending on the shape of your eyes, okay? Not everyone needs to do it. What you don't do, unless you want to make your eyes look smaller, is heavily underline from the outer lash line to the inner waterline.
No, that's just Natalie behavior. That's literally...
Yes, Natalie does it, which drives me crazy. Maybe I just notice it more on women with blue eyes.
It's just drawing a hoop around your eye. That's not what eyeshadow or eyeliner's for.
Princess Diana, may she rest,
yeah,
was
it's
a
awful.
seer, and actually, the current Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, has been doing that too. She uses this, and I know exactly what eyeliner she's using as well. And she just cannot. And ladies, I'm sorry to say, the older you get, the worse that looks.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks ridiculous. It's
gets
giving
caught-
Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction.
Yeah, when it gets caught in the wrinkles and bags, right, which happens.
Which are beautiful.
Happens to us all.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be kind of drawing on that because that just accentuates it, right?
It just it makes you look.
The whole point is have it at the top. It draws things up. It widens the eye if you draw it. Anyway, all I want to say on her appearance, and I am, as I said in the previous podcast, I know a little bit about cosmetics, but I don't feel quite comfortable giving out advice. I will just say that to me, she looks like if Steven Tyler finally gave up the drugs and put on some weight. That's what you get.
I don't really see that.
I see that.
I do see. Well, I'm not going to say. Cody also said, as regards Mary, you look like the bird that ate the mouse. Talk
No.
to me about the bird that ate the mouse.
Not a phrase. Not a phrase. Cat that got the cream.
Cat that I've heard. Cat that got the
mouse.
canary.
Yeah. Any others?
I just know it's not the bird that ate the mouse.
Dog that got a bone. Dog that caught the postman. Bird that ate the mouse. What fucking bird is this? Like a peregrine falcon or something?
I guess so. Maybe it's a barn
buzzard.
owl.
Yeah, it could be a barn owl.
You know, Robine does strike me as someone who would sleep on her face. Like that she would just fall forward because her neck is too heavy.
When she goes to sleep, she just weeble wobbles forward and just...
She just falls
a
forward.
little wingies flailing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was brilliant. That's going on a bumper sticker, I think. You look like the bird that got the mouse.
Yeah, the bird that ate the mouse.
Right.
T-shirts
What else is it going to
forthcoming.
do with it?
This is the perfect time for us to do a little merch soft launch, I think. And we will start with, I'm going to design a couple of T-shirts, I think. Anyway.
I'm going to design T-shirts which have like got fronds of hair hanging out of like the armpit areas like Cody's hair.
I still think
with the peninsula.
You guys, I'm not lying. I have looked at fake hair to source for visors. I think it's probably going to have to wait till the summer when it's really visor weather where we are. But, we'll see. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay,
we'll sort you
so
out, don't worry.
Speaking of Robine, our next quote comes from her.
Wonderful.
Some days I get really like, hey, we'll figure this out. We'll figure out some way to still make it cohesive and workable and that kind of thing. I don't know about today.
And your thoughts about that quote?
Again, it's like something our 10-year-old would say when he's, searching for the language to describe his feelings, although I dare say he's far more emotionally literate than Robine.
She failed on the rule of three there, didn't she? The rhetorical device of three. It's something our former Prime Minister Tony Blair was very famous for. Back in the days when he used to write for a living, I was a big fan of threes. One of the three things she says, cohesive and workable and
that kind of thing.
It doesn't work for the rhetorical device of three, does it?
No.
You can't just do two and then the third one is that kind of thing. No.
She later says, it's kind of like that last little bit of hope sort of dying.
Sort of dying.
Which I think is another thing that I need to put on a T-shirt or a tote bag. Sort of dying.
Like, sort of.
It's kind of like that last little bit of hope sort of dying.
Yeah.
Look, this is quite a performance. Again,
it's magnificent.
I do think it is. I do think that she genuinely thinks that she is being abandoned, let down, that she has reason to act this way. I think that she, so.
Hold on. Can we take a quick sobbing Robin break?
Sure.
I'm going on the record that it is okay to find other people's sadness funny. When it's Robine.
Look, I don't think these are crocodile tears. I think it's very sincere, but I think that Robine never evolved past crying whenever she got into trouble when she was a kid. And, if somebody brushed her chair the wrong way on the way to sharpen their pencil, she would start crying. I think she has a very and look, I am not a psychologist or therapist or anything approaching that, but it's consistent with the borderline personality disorder view of the world, right? Where it's like everything is happening to me. I am the main
Yeah.
character. And no judgment about that. I'm not saying,
And you're
I'm not
not saying
casting
that she's, yeah,
aspersions. No, and I'm not saying that that's what she has.
no,
In fact, I think it's probably more of a trauma response than anything else.
maybe. But yeah, everything's about her. There's no sense of this must have sucked for you, Christina.
Nope.
I don't see the. I haven't seen your story. This is kind of new to me. That's fine. Okay, that's all good. But thank you for sharing your truth. I hear you. And yeah, it sounds like what you're doing is for the best. That'd be a logical response. But to tell someone, no, what you feel is wrong, what you think is your experience is misinformed, and this is really hurting me, is, well, I guess she's been with Cody long enough that it's rubbed off.
I don't think that either Cody or Robin have room. Sorry, Robine have
Yep.
room for other people's emotions.
No.
I think that, and that's why I think her kids in particular are spoiled nightmares, because Robine has absolutely zero distress tolerance. She cannot deal with her children's distress,
No, that-
however temporary it may be.
We have finally figured out what the nanny does.
Yeah, the nanny deals with
Yeah.
the children's distress, I guess.
I liked when people were going, so Cody's outburst, and they're like, oh, there was like a kind of litigation over whether it was just emotion or not. I thought that was really weird. It's like, oh, no, it doesn't matter what he said or whatever. He doesn't necessarily believe it. It's just emotion. And then someone else was like, I think Mary was like, oh, no, I can tell you it's not just emotion. It's like, when does emotion, like their definition of emotion is like the opposite of rational reality. That is not how I see emotion.
No, and actually, as you were describing that, I thought it's really interesting because each of the wives has a different style of responding to conflict, right? Like we talk about, if you've been in any kind of, well, if you've ever been to counseling or had therapy or anything, you will have probably heard of the fight, flight, freeze response. And you can add fawn to that, right? As in if somebody,
Fart.
sure, that's certainly a part of it. Absolutely. For those of us in the irritable bowel syndicate, that is
Right.
an
That's a very
inexorable part.
common response to fear.
Yes, exactly. To fear. That's right. Sorry, it's not conflict, it's fear. And you have Mary, who is a fighter for sure.
Although not in this episode.
Not in this. No, I mean, she sat
She
on
was a
it.
fudger.
She was a fibber.
Yeah.
Janelle is definitely
Janelle's avoidant.
yes, Janelle's very avoidant.
So flight.
Yes, Robine is a fawner. She tries to immediately fix everything.
And Christine's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and Christine deals with confrontation head on. I'll talk about not held on, head on. I'll talk about someone who can't do that for a second. I don't know if you all are watching Below Deck. If you're not, I won't take up too much of your time. I just want to say it takes a really sensationally
Yeah.
cowardly person not to show up to a reunion of a show where, you
Have dominated the airtime.
yes, correct.
Made people suffer through your bullshit, not just the audience, but every other crew
Yep.
member, and then not be around to account for that. Well done.
And talking of the seas, see what I did there? I can smoothly transition back if I hadn't had that.
I'll judge the segue.
Okay.
Come on, let's.
So this is probably my favorite quote of the whole episode.
On a mug then?
This is from Cody.
Right.
And I'll just warn you that there's a Cody monologue coming up after this. But this is my favorite quote of the whole episode.
Okay.
Plural marriage isn't easy. And on a bad day, you can feel trapped in it. And she's getting out of the lobster bucket.
Sorry, I just did a Rabine sob noise. I think the bird just got the mouse. She's getting out of the lobster bucket.
She's getting out of the lobster bucket.
I mean, wow. But also, well done, that lobster. I mean, do we expect the lobsters to be complicit in their boiling and being eaten?
Well, this was a very visceral memory for me because, as you know, I grew up spending summers with family in New England, and lobster was a big feature of those summers. And we would go pick them out and whatever. And I didn't. This was obviously before my kind of age of reason, where I understood death and all of this stuff. And
Yeah, and that
anyway,
Simpsons episode with Pinchy.
sure. Or the David Foster Wallace essay about that I think is called "Consider the Lobster." It's absolutely brilliant. Anyway, we all love DFW.
Very delicious, though.
Sure. Now, the image that I get is that
Yeah.
if she's getting out of the lobster bucket, or what one might call a lobster pot.
Yeah.
Correctly, right? Yeah. Is she getting thrown back in the ocean and going to freedom, or is she about to get cooked?
No, I think it's a freedom thing. She's going to find a nice boy lobster who's going to take all of Cody's money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the metaphor there, that he's then in. So
he's admitted. This is why I love Cody's quotes, because they always say more about him than anyone else. And he tries to be clever, but all of the agenda, all of the stuff always comes out in these stupid things he says, right? So it's an absolute carte blanche, wrong phrase, but copper-bottomed admission that she has been in a lobster pot stroke bucket and she's got out. That to me sounds like a great thing for the lobster. That's
me
all
too.
I'm saying. Yeah.
Let us know if you had a different read on that. Now, we are huge fans of marine life. It's something of a theme in our Facebook group that I think began with Octopus Cocktail. If you haven't been acquainted with the Dumbo octopus.
Oh, the Dumbo octopus.
Get thee to YouTube.
Get thee to a GIF farm.
Get thee to Giphy or the other one that I can't remember, and find a Dumbo octopus. It'll change your life.
It'll change your life. You can send it to people when they're feeling a little bit timid.
It's shy.
They can be so shy and hide under their tentacles. Oh, Dumbo octopuses are the best.
It's wonderful. Unfortunately, we can't get one as a pet because they really need to be in very, very, very deep water to be happy.
Yeah, they kind of explode if they're not 50 meters deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much is that in leagues? I was thinking about, did you ever go... Have you been to
Is Jules
Disneyland?
Verne on our Patreon?
No, we've never talked
about this. We can't
about
ask Jules Verne in our Discord.
No, we can't. No. Have you been to Disney World / Disneyland?
I've been to the Parisian one.
Euro Disney.
Yeah.
Did they have a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea ride?
Yeah, it was probably changed by those bureaucrats in Brussels to 47.3 kilometers under the sea or something.
I bring it up because I went on, and I haven't been to any Disney place since I was maybe 19 years old, if that, 17, who knows? Anyway, it doesn't matter. If you went on that ride and you don't sometimes think about it when you're on the subway or whatever the equivalent is where you live, let me know, because I think about that all the time, about how that ride was a little bit like being on the subway. only without the giant squid. I just think about it sometimes. Sometimes I see I'm uh recently discovered that I have autism, and now some of these things make a lot more sense than they
Oh,
used to. But I really don't like being on the underground, and I've been stuck on the tube before in the middle of the summer,
and
and it's
now
really
it's
horrible.
and you're
And
worried about octopus attacks.
no, I go back into that in my mind because I enjoyed that ride. And so I think, oh, I could be underground with a pretend squid.
Oh, so you're disappointed by the lack of octopus?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to
I
that.
mean, if you're in a tunnel, why isn't it a glass tunnel where you can see all the garbage floating in the Thames?
Because Colleen and Matt would also be there, enjoying a romantic dinner.
Oh, okay. Um, we're moving to the monologue that I rather suspect is going to be in 20 years from now, a critical piece in any young actor's workshop.
God, I'm very squeaky. The bird has got the mouse.
All right.
All right, here we go. So this is your piece, is it? You're auditioning here.
Yeah.
Okay,
My name's Brayson,
right. And which part are you reading for today?
and I'm reading for the part of Cody.
Okay, in your own time.
You never tried to have a really good relationship with these other people, and that's the reason I'm pissed off. It's just vomiting out of me because I've sat here with it just like Christine, try and do this. You wanted to renegotiate a relationship with me, but you wouldn't even have a decent one with them. Always about the kids. That was the easy part. Man, just the knife in the kidneys. After all these years. Oh no. And the sacrifices that I made to love you. Wasted. Accountability is what I'm asking for here. And you are running away rather than being accountable. You're like, I'm divorced. I'm leaving. I'm done with you. You're out of my house. Instead of actually making the relationships work and trying. If you're not trying to be your best self in this relationship or in this family, then you are wasting your time. Marriage is a call to be better than you are. Plural marriage is a higher call.
And
Scene.
and you're repped by.
Um, I don't know how to respond to that.
We'll call you. Wow, wow. I don't know, guys. You all saw that scene. What is there to say?
Yeah, I don't think.
We look. This is one of those moments where we just have to pay tribute,
Yeah.
right? To there's Bobby coming out the shower in Dallas. What other pivotal TV moments have there been throughout history? The final scene of The Sopranos, Agent Cooper looking into the mirror in the last episode of Twin Peaks. How's Annie? There are these moments that live with you in television history, right?
Yeah.
And and that's one of them. Well done, Cody. It was the most incoherent, nonsensical, delusional, contradicting itself speech, even that Cody's ever made. I love the way that marriage is a calling. So plural marriage is a higher calling because plural, it's like more. It's like,
Well, it probably is.
I suppose in his religion, maybe, or the religion that he got kicked out of, maybe it is a higher calling. I don't know. It's a whole speech where essentially all of Cody's like speeches like this are conversations with himself, where he goads himself into saying like the next big thing, right?
Yeah, I can never tell what that is. Like, it doesn't feel inorganic at all.
No,
Like,
no.
it doesn't feel like we know that in some of these shows, spoiler alert, and I'm sorry if you don't want to peek behind the curtain, fast forward by 30 seconds to a minute. They restage certain arguments or certain conversations between people. I don't think that's what's happening here.
No, I don't think this was restaged at all. You can make an argument that the self-shot scenes with Christine and Cody earlier on in the season, where they were having those discussions, but even those, I'm not sure much is restaged on this show. It's why I actually really enjoy it.
Yeah, I really don't think it is. I
No.
mean, I think that
Why would you? I've always thought this, like, if if you cast a show well and you have compelling characters with interesting stories, why do you need to fake it? Really?
right.
Why do you need to fake it? Other than like resources and not having the crew around enough, right?
Right.
I guess. And there is a slightly legitimate answer for that. But you know what? That answer becomes increasingly less relevant as phone technology gets better and better. Because I would much rather watch a self-shot thing made on an iPhone than I would a restaged thing shot with, professional gear.
Me too. A million times
A million
over.
times over. A million times.
I guess what I find interesting is there's little parts of this that almost make sense. And again, I don't know if it's just not if it's just me where I don't know what he's talking about most of the time or if everybody feels that way. But when he says accountability is what I'm asking for and you're running away rather than being accountable, the accountable is not what he means. What he means to say is this is your fault. And instead of taking the blame, you're moving on with your life.
You know what? Christine would happily take the blame. I think Christine would say, look, fine, you want me to take the blame? I'll take the blame. And I thought Christine took a lot of the blame. Like, where she's going, I didn't mean to upset or did I alienate people? Was I really mean? It's like, I thought that she owned a whole bunch of those accusations.
Yeah, she did. I mean,
She was really upset about that. That she might have acted badly. I feel that there's plenty of accountability. Plenty of accountability.
I
But
think
you know
so
what?
too. And
Part of accountability is understanding that you fuck something up to enough of a degree that it's done. So even if it is Christine's fault, that still doesn't mean she should stay.
right. What I find so beautiful and so heartening about this entire exchange is that Christine, there's so much going on behind the eyes and you can clearly see and she basically says this herself, you can see that she knows that this is bullshit.
And you can see that she has a retort
Yeah.
to everything. And this is why she's my queen. Unlike me, she knows how to bite her tongue and she just keeps quiet. I can't do that. And I am in awe of someone that can. It's not that she doesn't have an answer, it's that she doesn't want to, it's not dignify it with a response. It's that, discretion is the better part of valor. But man, that takes some strength.
It really does. And I highly recommend that all our listeners and myself included that we take that and carry it forward. Understand that you are not going to be able to we were listening to Jon Stewart talking about the discussion on anti-Semitism last night, and he was basically saying we have to be able to have these conversations. In other words, you have to be able to kind of dissect these beliefs, right? And prove to people that it's wrong. And if you censor that whole conversation and ban that whole conversation, you're you're not going to change hearts and minds. And unfortunately, in a perfect world where people are logical and rational and empathetic, and there isn't widespread dog whistle politics, then yeah, that could work. But he's assuming that both sides of that conversation are rational.
Or want to come to harmony.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's the same
And they
thing.
don't. It's the same thing with Cody.
Yeah.
He doesn't want a resolution where things are explained and they go their separate ways. He wants her back in the lobster bucket.
Right, exactly. So, look, the holidays are coming up. This is going to be a real tough season for me personally, for our family. My advice to you, look, there was just an election in America. There's been all manner of political upheaval here in England. Don't get into these discussions with people who
Yeah.
are set in their ways and come from a perspective from which they have no desire to deviate or move from.
But also know that that is a weird function of our current times, and it was not always thus. Once upon a time, it was reasonable to vote differently in different elections, right? It was reasonable to look at various candidates and sort of go, you know what, this time around, that side appeals to me more. It was reasonable to change your mind. It was reasonable to disagree with the beliefs of the leaders of the party that you support, but broadly you'll still stick with them, or maybe they go too far and then you'll look for someone else. Once upon a time, that happened. It isn't happening right now, but I cannot imagine that it will be like that forever. I really hope it isn't. I really hope it isn't. Whatever your beliefs are, whatever side you fall on things, I really hope that you have it in you to listen to other sides and change your mind about things. And I'd like to think anyone listening to this probably is like that. But I think we can all agree we're living in weird times where value is placed on holding steadfast no matter what. Holding steadfast no matter what is the act of an idiot.
Yes, just ask Cody, who feels like an investor who put all his money into something and then lost everything, which, by the way, happens all the time.
Cody is, I mean, I've been following this story. I don't know if you have, but the Bitcoin, well, not Bitcoin, Bitcoin, yeah. That's the remnant of Inky's toy after he's been savaging it. Yeah. I've just got a Bitcoin left. I need a new toy. That's the French bulldog. Crypto guy who just lost
Bankman Fried.
Yeah, who just lost 27 billion and an awful lot more money for everyone else. He looks a bit like Cody. I've just realised it. Dye his hair blonde, wait for a peninsula to form.
It's an archipelago now. Yeah. I keep meaning to show you that picture. Thank you to everyone who sent me the picture of Cody's hair peninsula / archipelago. I really appreciate it. And thank you to just anybody who, like, I think that people think that because we have a podcast that we're like these busy people who think that we're like, I'm not like that. I answer every message we get that isn't somebody trolling me. So I love it. It delights me. If you disagree with me, I desperately want to hear your opinion. This is what this is all about. It's about connecting.
Unlike the parts of Cody's hair.
Right. So before we get to our final quote, I want to leave a little room for the tragedy that is Janelle and her RV situation and the having to move it to a different lot for the winter and potentially not having electricity. It sucks. I mean, she has got herself into a situation basically where she doesn't have any assets that
Nope.
are hers.
Nope.
No wonder she hasn't left.
Nope. Because Cody was happy to put family money into Rabine's house and put family money, I think, into the down payment on Christine's house and probably some money on a property that Mary has. I don't know. Did he put any money into the B&B?
I don't know about that actually. This came up last week. I don't
Yeah.
know. If anybody does know, let me know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a terrifying position to be
But
in.
when it comes to Janelle wanting some money for anything.
Yeah.
Oh no, we had the money, but now we don't. Yeah, because you spent it on everyone else.
Yeah, we needed this like $1.9 million house.
I need a new pickup truck.
It's just,
Although that was to move the RV.
you know what though? It made me think a lot more about that subplot in Happily Ever After that seems to have, sorry, in 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After, that seems to have divided the audience's opinions. Yara wants to buy a flat in Prague, and I don't understand why that's such a nightmare or such a big deal.
No.
There are much worse things to put your money into. And you know what? Yeah, she's coming from divorced parents whose mother was left with nothing.
Yeah, that's her culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about that some other time. But yeah, no, Janelle's been completely screwed over here.
Yeah.
And I completely like her only hope of seeing any value out of this entire like poly marriage, right, is for Coyote Pass to come to pass, right?
Yeah.
Because then there'll be like some sort of, increase in the value of things they'll build, and then she has an asset. But man, oh man, this is such a way down the hill, and it is never going to happen. They're never going to pay it off, because who's going to make a sacrifice to pay it off? Where's the excess money coming from? How much is left to pay off? But I get the feeling like we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. It doesn't feel like it's like 15 grand or something, right?
No, I really don't understand their financial situation. I also don't understand one of our bays who has a podcast of his own knows the nature of Cody and Rabine's business kind of indirectly through someone else. And apparently she is involved in the business. The thought of Rabine handling a firearm is terrifying to me.
I've said before, I can picture her oiled up in a
American flag.
Yeah. Bikini. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's the work that she does. I wonder if she's just given like a Fisher Price cash register and she just handles all the receipts. Like my dad used to have a little cash register that he gave me to play with that, like I could put paper in and then print out little receipts.
It's really weird, isn't it? The retail sort of corner of the market for the toy industry in that way. I guess like retail and construction, right? Because there aren't many other jobs. Maybe the medical profession also. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of occupations. They've
got like little policemen, like any of the Halloween uniform outfits.
Yeah.
You could be, but what would it be now?
Weird though. Cash registers is a weird toy.
Yeah, but it's better than like I'm a freelancer and it's like a standing desk.
Yeah.
And
some toy Valium.
Some Lexapro and a succulent. And yeah, we love you, freelancers.
Yeah.
We also love cubicle warriors. And just everybody
and everybody who works in retail.
Oh, yeah,
by the way.
especially these days.
I
All right.
fantasize about working in retail.
So, in honor,
Happiest days of my life.
don't fantasize too hard.
All right.
Okay. Through the years, as I've had issues with Christine, I've tried to approach her, to talk to her, to text her, to call her. I was met with walls, rejection, just her not wanting to discuss things through.
Yeah, she doesn't like you, Rabine. It's that simple. It's that simple. And you know what? She doesn't have to like you because she was there first. And that's the whole problem with this structure, right? I don't think she probably ever really like it's possible. Christine seems to feel that maybe she did treat Rabine less than ideally, or she's just owning it because she's a good person. But I guess Rabine just rubbed her up the wrong way and they just never bonded. And here's the thing though, why on earth did this marriage happen if everyone wasn't in love?
I think Christine was in a very vulnerable place because she was heavily pregnant when Robine came into the picture, if I remember correctly. I think I think truly was fresh out the oven, when the proverbial oven, obviously, when Cody and Robine went on their honeymoon.
Right.
But here's the thing.
So maybe that's a reason for Christine not to massively warm to the, you know.
Well, what she has said, and I've just seen clips of this on the internets. If you're on Reddit, listener, the Sister Wives subreddit is very good for stuff like this. But basically, when Robine came into the picture, she didn't. Christine didn't look after her kids. She got a nanny, and she stopped working. So not only was she not working, not earning any money, but she wasn't, for whatever reason, Christine wasn't also looking after her kids. But then Christine's daughter ended up moving in with Cody and Robine, looking after her kids. So that's something I really don't get. And
Right.
I don't, and I wonder.
Well, I imagine there's no love lost right from the start. She just didn't like Christine, or Christine didn't like her. And it didn't organically happen. And Christine probably gave her a bit of a cold shoulder.
Well, yeah.
Here's the crazy, this is what I constantly keep coming back to. Why do you want her to stay then? Right?
Because she doesn't like change.
Oh, boo-hoo. Or, rather,
what?
love it. I know it's mean, but I love it.
It's not mean if it's Robine.
It's not mean if it's Robine.
She's grown, Yeah. You guys, she may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer, but she's grown.
She's not a knife, she's a tape measure. Check out our socials if you don't know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Is that it?
Yeah. That was a real big deal.
A real big deal.
Thank you all for. Now, I haven't looked ahead to next week. I can only assume there's more gaslighting because Christine hasn't. I think she's packing up and getting ready to leave. What I was going to say before, though, was I wonder what McKelty will think of Robine when she watches this back and sees Robine throwing Christine under the bus repeatedly.
Why McKelty?
Because McKelty lived with Robine and is close to her and wanted her zoomed in for the birth of her child.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No, well, I know. But
I mean, Cody can't keep his own kids' names straight. I don't expect you to follow.
I apologize. But more with this show than any other kind of reality show, because I do feel it's all kind of real. Like the sparks that must fly when they all see what each other said and did. That's what has me hooked to the show, and will have me hooked like for the next season, because I want to see these people watching this stuff. you know? Anyway, they can all be like us, except some of us don't wear visors.
Yep. Anything else?
Only that. Big week ahead of us. We will throw some crown stuff at y'all. And don't forget, Michelle lost her bed a couple of months ago.
Yep. we are going to be recapping the final episode ever of The Walking Dead. I will not be allowed to ask questions, so I'm going to be coming in. I'm not going to.
Not during the show, no.
No, but the last episode I saw was somewhere along in season 4, and I haven't read anything. Nothing has filled the gaps. So I'm going into this not knowing who certain people are, not knowing who is alive or dead, etc.
It'll be a right laugh.
Yes, so you guys, look, we're giving you a lot of cushion for the push-in. So not for that. We're giving you a lot of material because Thanksgiving is coming up and it's stressful, and we want you to have as much insulation from the difficult things or just the hectic, busy things. Maybe this is a wonderful time for you.
Yeah.
And you just got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Either way, we're keeping you company. We're here.
Yeah.
We got a lot of content coming out next week, and we're no longer, in the grips of whatever latest LMNOP COVID variant there is. So knock on wood, we steer clear of the croup. We load up on laudanum and, keep the laughs coming.
Yeah, we'll do our best. All right. Thank you ever so much. We love doing this. Thank you. And see you soon. And